Excellent. Uh, we're drinking some good beer today. I hope so, including with what I bought.
Oh,
It should be fucking delicious. We got Michael Komarov from where is he from? He's from Italy. Hello, Michael Komarov. No,
I'm
no,
back from Italy.
you've been in Italy for the last 6 weeks. Hello, and welcome back to the United States, Brooklyn.
Always happy to be back.
And I was just in the great state of New York in this past week, and I am back. And while coming back into Massachusetts, I grabbed some hazy, juicy beer from a known world class location of juicy New England IPAs, which is what we're going to be reviewing today. New England style IPAs, those juicy, hazy, what do they call them? Chill haze, haze for days, whatever you want to call them. They showcase hops in a way that's not just solely meant to be bitter, but to show you what else hops can do in a beer. And you can pretty much thank John Kamich and the Alchemist Brewery in the Waterbury, Vermont region and their heady topper for getting the style together. We're going to have John in LA join us very soon after he's done reviewing the Hunter blended Canadian whiskey with Louisiana beer reviews, Jay Terrio. So, Michael Komarov, Brooklyn, New York. Which hazy New England style IPA do you have this evening?
Okay, this is called, it's from Six Point. It's one of their limited release beers, which you have to get at the brewery, called Spritzer Bomb White. And what it is, it's a New England style IPA with white grape juice at 7.7 ABV.
Holy crap!
It's
That's
got a cute little flying horse on the side of the label. I love these 6 Point.
it. Almost looks like the color scheme of Arizona green tea.
And I just noticed this. I remember now. It's a collaboration with Sloop, Sloop Brewing. So Six
Where
Point.
that's located.
I don't even know where it is, but but I think they may have provided the grape juice, the white grape juice for this,
Okay.
and maybe help them with the formulation as well. Because I guess you don't get credit for just doing an item; you have to help them with the formulation as well.
I don't remember what they were called, but I had a few of these Trillium beers that had like a Pinot Noir, a Chardonnay, and one of them I got a 4-pack from my buddy at work for his birthday was like I think it was Gewürztraminer grape must. Now I had some of those styles of wines in the Finger Lakes of New York State. Very delicious, very awesome. I'm gonna go towards Charlton, Massachusetts, by originally the way of Munson, Massachusetts. Um, Hopefully you can all see that. I'm going to turn the light off a little bit. We got some other flipping treehouse here. I know it's not really focusing right now, but this is their Julius, which I believe is, for all intents and purposes, considered their flagship IPA, which is at 6.8% alcohol by volume. And I looked it up because I was curious, and nobody else seemed like they wanted to do Google searching on Google to find out the name Julius, which he was the one that started that Orange Julius, which is the place where you get those frozen creamy drinks in the malls and stuff. And his name was Julius Freed, and I believe it was 1920. I believe it was either 1920 or it was in within the 20s, 1920s in Los Angeles when he started the Orange Julius, thus Julius Freed.
Yeah.
So mine says Go Red Sox. And it also says this was the 23rd of October.
Very fresh.
So yeah, and I bought it at the brewery. I believe it was $3.08 for a singular can. Treehouse doesn't do any actual 4-pack, so you have to buy everything by the can. So I don't believe I've had Julius. I had the green one time for IPAs. Then I had another IPA there called Green, which is just another variety and different hopping of that IPA green.
I know yours is going to look similar to mine because I've seen this I've seen this style so many times. Again, it's hazy like mine.
And even Can't Beer Reviews is watching and says, "Come on, Red Sox." So thank you, sir.
We would love them to win tonight so they could put the stranglehold on and make the Dodgers scared.
Got you in a stranglehold, baby biscuit. Out of our way. All right. Holy damn.
Yours has a really nice white head.
This
Mine had a nicer white head, but it's fading.
This is really orange. Okay, now you can see it better without the glare.
Yep.
This is very, very friggin' orange. Very white.
I would even call that a light orange.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess there's a tiny bit of, even here it looks more, it looks way more milky in some light. And it looks
again,
more,
it has that haze. It has that haze like mine does too.
definitely. Holy crap. Yeah, this is Orange Julius in a glass. Holy crap. And I heard, was it, no, I heard Chris Stelz, we were talking about him a little bit earlier off air here. Beer Geek Nation, he did a review of this like maybe 3 years ago. And he said it's like unsweetened orange juice, just squeezing the orange juice. And if you ever squeezed orange juice or you've ever squeezed any kind of a citrus fruit, and sometimes it sprays off of the fruit, and
Right.
that it kind of had that spray of the orange kind of a note to it. It definitely smells like that. And there's definitely a little bit of grapefruit and pineapple, but the orangey note is the very biggest one. And I am getting the onion and garlic after that dank note. Very light and dank, but it's obviously predominant. I'm getting that typical, what would you say? I'm getting that typical steel tank kind of a IPA smell, if that makes sense. And I'm also getting, I'm smelling this in some of these treehouse beers that I've had. I'm getting definitely the yeasty / oaty note to it. So
they seem to have that in a lot of their beers.
I don't want to dive in quite yet, but do you want to describe the
yes.
look?
Yes, the look of mine is not, it's not as orange as yours, obviously. It's more, I guess would you call this like dark yellow?
Yeah.
Like a dark yellow, but it again, haze for days. I mean, you can't see through this. If you look through light, it's like there's no way to see it. The nose is interesting. I found it on the side, it tells you what they use. They use muscat grapes for these white grapes that are in there. That's what you have on the nose. You get the grapes on the nose, but you also get that kind of IPA vibe that you get in a lot of these New England IPAs. You can tell it's an IPA, but it's very nice white grape nose and like an IPA vibe. And I love the color, and I love the color of yours too.
What are you getting in aromas from your 6 Point Muscat style IPA?
It's, well, I would say your lead nose is grape, but it's grape kind of sitting in an IPA kind of thing. So you could tell that this was brewed as an IPA, and they added the white grape to it, and it's an interesting combination. It smells really like it's going to be very tasty. Now,
you know what Kent Beer Reviews here said live on the chat, which I may have to steal that when reviewing these kind of beers and tasting them. He says for the appearance of these kind of beers, unclear for years.
No, he's right. That's like haze for days, unclear for years. That's good. I like that.
I really like that.
Now, I had a bigger head at the beginning. You see mine now, it's basically faded down to just, like a little edge of a head, but it wasn't as big as your head was originally, but it was twice as big as it is now, but it's still got nice lacing on it. Yours has nice lacing too.
See that? Yeah, I was just about to comment. It's already leaving lacing. So I honestly can't remember on Tuesday, definitely not Tuesday. And I think I only had the green for IPAs back in May. So this is my first taste ever of some freaking Julius. So
should we have a sip?
Yeah, bottoms up, bitches. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is a Friday night.
Wow.
Oh, this effing sucks. What the hell am I drinking? Oh, that's right. Amazing World. Okay, so yeah, the smell in the background, if that makes any sense, is what I'm getting in the taste. I'm definitely getting that oaty steel tank kind of a note
Still
about
get it.
which is kind of crazy. Yeah, definitely orange juice. This is the juiciest orange beer on the face of the planet Earth that's not adjunct. This doesn't have orange in it.
So you're getting like an orange juice flavor.
Right up front, orange juice, followed by the onion garlic dankness, which is a little bit bigger in the mouthfeel and the taste than in the nose. Kind of grapefruit in the midst of, and mango in the midst of the dank origins to it. I'm getting some white bready malt. I'm getting some right as you finish the beer is where I'm getting a little bit of that tropical juicy and maybe a touch of a pine resin to it. This is not a pine resiny beer, but there is some light to medium style oily feeling slickness to it, but not too much. It is got pretty much a smooth, velvety, easygoing, medium style mouthfeel. It is absolutely, let me see here. You can kind of see the carbonation. It is, and here the carbonation. It is ultra crisp, ultra clean. It does clean very nicely, and it invites you into drinking more. And it's refreshing as all goddamn hell. Now, the only thing I could say personally that could be anywhere near a knock on the beer, which is really not a knock in my book here, but it's a little on the safe side. Some of these treehouse style IPAs that I've had are almost too smooth and almost too just, you want fruit juice? Well, friggin' drink this beer. So there are bready malts and there are some yeasty components, a little bit of a yeasty spice to be completely honest in there, but you're not really getting the individual components of the beer. You're pretty much getting exactly what you're paying for, which is a juice bomb and some hoppy oil notes. So if you like hops, this is a beer for you. If you like juice, this is a beer for you. If you like Orange Julius breakfast juices, this is for you. And also, if you really do like a beer that is completely balanced, where even with some of the dank bitterness that's in the beer, it doesn't cut your head off. So, in those regards, I don't know if I can give this a 100 out of 100, but if I gave it any less than a 95 out of 100, I'd be criminally insane. So let's just give it a 97. So
Okay, all right.
far, I will let you know if my thoughts change so far, but this is
Okay.
easy drinking and quite orangey and delicious.
Well, I'm deciding on mine now to say that it has to be considered more of a hybrid, even though they're saying it's a New England style. It's kind of a hybrid, and I'm saying it's a hybrid because what the white grape does to the IPA thing, it's like a combo effect. It's a good thing. It's a good beer. I'm not saying it's not. It's just that the white grape dominates it. If you like white grapes in your beer, you'll love this. And I do like it. But I don't think I'm at the same high end as you are on the Julius. I would say this is more in the 90 area, like an A minus kind of thing.
Yeah.
B plus, A minus. It's still a fine beer.
Now, would you? I don't know if most people that drink that beer would call it that, but because of its addition of the Muscat or Muscat grape must or juice, whichever one they want to call it, would you consider that therefore an adjunct IPA?
I guess it is because even though American companies seem to be willing to do adjuncts all the time, so it's not unusual. But I guess it's like an adjunct, and it's not a negative adjunct. It's just that if you're somebody who's into these juicy IPAs, you want the IPA factor to be also, involved in it. And in this case, it's almost more of a white grape IPA than it's a straight juice IPA. That's what I'm saying. But it's still good.
Mm. Yeah. This is a crazy beer. So with this head that it pours, and I don't know, this is the Spiegelau IPA glass that Spiegelau did in conjunction with, I think it was Sierra Nevada and maybe, or Sierra Nevada and Dogfish Head. So I don't recall if this has an etching on it, but I am getting a lot of effervescence and carbonation to it. And it's keeping the head alive in the beer, and it's keeping the beer. The head is keeping the beer very velvety and almost creamy in a way, smooth with its smoothness. So I'm liking that mouthfeel. It's just a real. It's not a real chore to drink the beer, but we have, just to show, John Anili. Hello, sir. We have the Treehouse Julius.
Hi, John. Long time no see.
Hola.
Hey, Michael. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. Good to be back.
Everybody, John Anili from the state of Georgia.
I have 6 point white, Spritzer Bomb white.
Ooh. Nice. I've got one I feel like this is the first legitimate New England style hazy IPA I've had, because I've had the Sierra Nevada hazy little thing, and they're not too popular here, but I went to a really good store after work today, and I talked to the guy he's very knowledgeable for probably 20 minutes, and this is the one that he recommended the most. It is from High Wire Brewing out of Asheville, North Carolina. It's called Hazy and Juicy and Hoppy and Fresh. Double dry hop New England style IPA brewed with Azacca, Mosaic, and Amarillo hops. And there's the label right there.
Man, yeah, it sounds delicious.
It is 7.5% alcohol by volume.
Wow.
Now you're just as you're getting the beer together and pouring the beer, just let us know briefly your history or your not so fondness towards the IPA style in general.
No, I like IPAs. I just don't drink them too often because I drink more sessionable things like sours. I find are more sessionable. I love, as you guys know, American adjunct lagers, malt liquor, stuff like that. I do like IPAs, but I just find that the bitterness lingers too much, and I don't drink them as much because it's like one and done for me. Yep. But I've never had a real juicy IPA, or other than Sierra Nevada, the hazy little thing. That's probably the closest I've come to the real deal. So this one, you can see the head.
Nice head on there.
That's what she said.
It's a nice hazy orange color. Although, Eric, yours looks more like orange juice. Mine is a little bit more, you can see through it a little bit more. It's still hazy, but.
Say orange juice?
Look at the oranges on his can.
It's called
The aroma is definitely fruit forward, citrus forward. Pineapple.
Yes.
Orange. Guava, like the guava juice that I drank the other day, like the concentrated. I mean, that it's definitely juicy on the aroma.
Cheers. Yes.
And I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Azacca, Mosaic, and Amarillo hops, but those are the 3 hop varieties that they're using in here. It does smell really good. It's good looking beer. The head, it poured really nicely. I got to say 7.5% alcohol, not picking up on any alcohol whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Cheers, guys. Sorry I'm late to the party, but had a previous engagement.
Wonder if New England style IPAs are a good chaser for blended Canadian whiskeys.
Why not? Okay.
My beer is just so orangey, for God's sake. Woo.
So, John, how's the taste? Does it taste similar to the nose?
Yeah, it does. The palate follows through from the aroma from the nose. It is you don't really pick up on any of the bitterness on the aroma. And that seems to be the case with a lot of IPAs. You smell the fruity notes, the citrus, the pininess, whatever the hop varieties are using. You pick up on that with the aroma. and then the bitterness comes into play once you take a sip. That's kind of what I'm getting here. It is very fruity. The citrus, the pineapple, the orange, those are the main two fruit flavors I'm getting. A little bit of that guava, like I said. It is bit on the hops in the middle of the sip. It is bready too. I know that these New England style IPAs are typically they're unfiltered, which gives them the hazy look. So there's a definite bready note to this one as well, almost like a fruit bread, like a good what is it? Italian fruit bread. There's it has that to it. The bitterness is coming through on the finish. It is very refreshing. The alcohol is non-existent on the palate. You don't smell it on the aroma. It doesn't come through on the palate at all. The finish is it's refreshing. It's not a dry finish like you get with your American adjunct lagers, stuff like that. It's almost a wet finish, but it's not a bad quality. For an American adjunct lager, yeah, it would be a bad quality. But for this beer, it works because it's a fruit forward beer. So the wet quality, like the finish kind of matches I wouldn't want a super fruity beer for it to have a super dry finish. That wouldn't really go together. But the fruity finish and the less than dry, or the fruity notes with the less than dry finish that I'm getting, it kind of matches, and it does well with the style. And I do feel like this is my first true New England style IPA, honestly.
How would you rate it if you had to just rate it based on the general rating system? It doesn't have to be anything specific against other New England style.
I would say, because the alcohol is masked so well, because it does have that nice hop complexity, you're getting the fruity notes and the different combination of the fruity notes. The bitterness is there, but it's not overpowering. And I don't know what the IBUs are, but they're probably pretty high, probably between like 50 and 60, which for me is high. I don't know. I would say for the style, it's probably like a 95 or 96, but overall, my official rating is going to be like an 88. It's a B+ for me.
Okay.
And that's just,
that's fine.
I think it's great. I think if I was more into this style, I would probably rate it much higher, but it's still excellent. And there's no alcohol present. 7.5%. You would think maybe you get a little warming or a little booziness. Not the case at all. So there you go.
Okay, well, you came on. Eric and I have been rating ours. Mine is with Muscat white grapes in a New England style. It's interesting, and I was trying to explain to Eric that I like it, but the problem I'm having is it seems like the grapes have taken over. Now, that could be their intention, that they want it to be white grape forward. The problem is when you combine it with an IPA, if the IPA hops end up losing to the white grapes, it can't be an A+ beer or even an A beer. I gave it a 90, which to me is an A-, so it's still good. It's just that I like white grapes, though. Maybe everybody else wouldn't like white grapes. So, I mean, I like the white grape effect. And you saw the color. It's hazy like the other ones. It's a little bit maybe lighter than yours, yellow.
It almost looks like lemonade from ice cream.
Yeah, from the color. But it's funny. Yeah. It's so white grape forward that you can tell it's an IPA only because of the mild bitterness. It's not as bitter as yours. I would say this is more in the 40 kind of IBU range. So it's less bitter. But again, 6 Point doesn't tell you what the IBUs are on this, so I don't know for sure.
I bet, you know what, this one might even be higher than what I'm saying. And I didn't really have time to look up this beer, but the IBUs are not listed on the can anywhere.
And mine is 7.7, and you can't taste the alcohol either, and that does bump it up as far as how I rate it. The hops are Citra, Enigma, and Vic Secret.
Vic Secret, yes. The Julius here, again, Treehouse Brewing Company. And I don't think you heard that before you came on, John, but I actually went to Treehouse on the way back from the Finger Lakes in
It's
New
only
York.
a 5-day-old can, John.
Yeah, this was
Oh,
the day that I bought it on the 23rd of.
wow.
You talk
So-
about fresh.
They don't
Yeah,
you
maybe we're past this point in your examination. I'm not trying to step on your toes because I did join late. But what was your rating for that beer? What did you think of it, Eric?
Well, before that, I was gonna try to give you a rundown of the hops, but all it says on treehousebrew.com/beers for Julius here is it says bursting with pungent American hops. Julius, our flagship American IPA, is a bright, juicy beer filled with flavors and aromas of mango, peach, passion fruit, and a melange of citrus juice. A soft, pillowy mouthfeel and rounded bitterness ensure Julius will never tire the palate. A true joy to drink, and I don't think it's tired. It's definitely not tiring. It's minimally not fatiguing me in any way. It's got such a nice dry, white bready malt in the background, and again, how dry it is not fatiguing me. I believe I gave it I said to Michael Komaroff right down to 97, and I think I'm going to stick to that crazy 97 out of 100 rating. Now, everywhere else on the internet is like 100 out of 100 for the style and 120,000 out of 100 for the beer overall.
So you're pretty much like, I mean, world class, pretty much. You get up there.
I'm absolutely sold on this. Now, my favorite IPA that I can think of is Trillium's Congress Street IPA. So I would be very curious to see what my old standby New England IPA has on this. Now, my buddy Dave and I went to Treehouse and then Trillium on May 5th, 2018, the day before my birthday, which was that was on a Saturday afternoon. And we tried this beer that they had at Treehouse, one of theirs on tap, a really well-known one. It is called Green. Now that's a 7.5% American IPA with American.
John, I've had that one too.
And we really enjoyed that, but actually we enjoyed their Imperial Stouts and some of their stouts more than that. However, once we went to Trillium and tasted their beers, or at least the ones that we bought to taste at Trillium, we thought that, okay, now we're tasting other ingredients in the beers. We can taste much more malt, much more yeast, much more of the yeasty components than we did in the Treehouse beers. The Treehouse beers do what they do, and they do it extremely well to a T, which is they're showcasing all these other flavors that hops can give you in a beer. Now, you look at this beer, Julius, you already know exactly the kind of a flavor. I apologize for the glare, but you know exactly the flavor you're going to get out of that beer, which is the orangey notes. But
Right.
You're getting the light dank notes, the other light juice notes, and it's just such a fluffy, smooth, kind of a creamy feel to it. Now, the thing that I've noticed that I do appreciate in a way that I haven't really noticed off the top of my head on the Trillium beers is it's blatantly obvious that I'm getting an oat kind of a note. I'm getting this oaty kind of a creamy mouth feel from it, so I can immediately tell that the oats and these flaked oats or whatever they are giving it this silky kind of a texture, which is extremely hard to do if you've never brewed New England style IPAs or you're from out of state and you've never tried these beers and you're trying to replicate them. For me, being a New Englander, if you can't even get the mouthfeel right, then you're not even halfway to brewing a really great New England style IPA. So I'm still giving it a 97 because it's just really overly orangey, and maybe if they did a couple of other things to it, maybe I could give it a 98 or 99, but that's still me barely complaining about the beer. But I do want to ask you, now that I mentioned that, John, what does the mouthfeel like on your New England style IPA?
It's actually it's relatively light, and the fruity character is building as I sip on it. That guava is building up a little bit more of the citrus, almost like you're talking about like orange Julius, like you get with yours. There is a very orange forward presentation with this. It's funny, man. And
You're breaking up badly.
I think I'm gonna rate. I think it's like more like a 92 for me than an 88 on the top end of A-. Sorry to have you cross out the 88.
No problem.
You
No
have to
problem.
write it higher or lower.
New to me, and the more, it really does deserve more sipping to kind of build that character.
Are you getting? I guess part of my question there is: are you getting any velvety, kind of a creamy, smooth?
Yes, creamy mouthfeel. It's very smooth. And that's one thing that I think why I raised my score, because when I first sipped it, I'm not used to this style. So the bitterness kind of hits me first. And I'm not used to drinking this type of beer, but as I'm sipping on it, that kind of fades away and I get more of the fruity sweetness and the smoothness, the velvety smoothness that you're talking about, Eric. I'm getting more of that. And that's why I think it's a little bit better than what I first thought about it. So this is one too. This is one that just gets better as you sip on it. And if you're not a big IPA guy, and you get into something like this, this is so much better than your standard IPA, because you're getting your generic piney grapefruit notes, pininess and grapefruit. This one has citrus in the form of orange and lemon and grapefruit, and you're picking up on the guava, maybe some passion fruit. Like it's a fruit bomb. You're getting like a little bit of everything. And I honestly can't say that I've had a beer like this. The closest thing would be the Sierra Nevada hazy little thing, but that one to me was a little bit too grapefruit. That was like the primary thing. And it had the right appearance. It looked great. It looked like what you guys have been showing us with these New England style IPAs, but it didn't match the description that you guys were given. This one does. It really does. And like I said, I talked to the guy in the liquor store for 20 minutes before I made this decision. I bought a 4-pack of I think these are 16 pint cans.
16
it was 12 or $13.99.
That's a damn good price.
But you know what? It's worth it. I think that they spent a lot of time with this beer. Asheville, North Carolina, High Wire Brewing.
I can't find that beer on their website right now. I don't even think they list it currently.
I gotta say, I'm very impressed with this beer. And yeah, I keep forgetting it's 7.5% too. This is like the most smooth, easy drinking beer. The bitterness is there at first for somebody that's like not a IPA drinker like me, but it fades away so quickly, and then you get into this guava passion fruit heaven, and you're just like sipping on tropical paradise.
All right, now you're getting into the style. All right, fuck yeah. 2 questions. First one is Michael Komarov. Kent Beer Reviews needs to know the name of your beer again from 6 Point.
Okay, it's called Spritzer Bomb White, and it's made with white Muscat grapes. Kent, this beer is one limited release that you had to buy at the brewery in order to get it. 6 Point, it's funny. I'm waiting for them to allow some of these beers that they got good reception on and people bought into their regular rotation, to be brewed in Memphis and sold like the rest of the 6 Point stuff. And maybe someday available in Georgia. We can always hope.
Yeah.
But it's not your fault, John. You'll buy it if you see it. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I asked him about that. The guy knew about it, but he said, yeah, we don't get that yet.
Like I said, Florida has it, but it's in southern Florida. That doesn't help. You need it to be in the Panhandle or somewhere closer to Georgia.
Or Tallahassee or something.
Or Tallahassee or some of the other cities in the state, and that's it.
And
I do get Brooklyn Brewery here, so if Brooklyn Brewery makes a New England style IPA, I might be able to get that.
I can't remember one, but it's possible.
I saw Brooklyn Oktoberfest the other day. I almost bought it, but I'll have to pick that up soon. I thought that was pretty cool because I never thought I would see that. Like I usually only get the Brooklyn Lager and the what's the other their traditional beer. I don't get a lot of the variety, but I saw that one the other day, and it got me hopeful that maybe I would see a New England style IPA from Brooklyn Brewery, which, as you know, is out of New York.
I was shocked to find Brooklyn beers in Italy, but the problem is I'm not going to drink them when I'm there because I can get them when I'm here. So it's kind of silly. So I was drinking a lot of, you saw, I sent some of the pictures and stuff. I was going to these different, what's it called? Brewdog places in both Florence and in Rome. And it was cool because wine is such the king there in everything that if craft beer can just get into the market, I think there'd be a future. It's just that it's kind of hard when they make all this red wine and everybody drinks it. You know, it's like a battle to get a part of the market.
I got a question for. Actually, I got two questions. One, I'm gonna pose this to Michael, and if John has an opinion, chime right in. We got our good old buddy that is here. Gabriel Salaya is watching live. He says, where is it that he said it in our chat? He said the only few IPAs I've ever, or what did he say here? So in all IPAs, there is grapefruit taste to it. Is that necessarily always the case, Michael Cormorant?
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, this is the farthest thing from grapefruit that you'd ever come to. This is grape, not grapefruit. But your typical sounding IPA, you'd think would have a grapefruit lead taste in it. But there are plenty that don't have grapefruit. Some can be citrus with other items that are not grapefruit. You had some grapefruit in yours, though, Eric. Even though it wasn't the lead taste, orange was, but yet you were able to get a little. Most average regular IPAs, I'm not sure these juicy ones are not necessarily grapefruit. They can be.
Do you have a thought on any of that, John and Nilly?
This one is not really grapefruit. There's really not grapefruit. There's guava, there's passion fruit, there's like orange, citrusy. There is citrus, but it's orange, not grapefruit. And yeah, I mean, this is probably the first IPA I've had where I can actually say with certainty there is no grapefruit. But yeah, I understand what Gabriel is saying. A lot of IPAs have that that grapefruit is the main flavor. When you pick up on the citrus with the hops that they're using in a lot of these IPAs, particularly with like New Belgium, as Gabriel was talking about, New Belgium, every IPA I've ever had from New Belgium has a grapefruit taste. But you don't get that with this. I would tell Gabriel to do what I'm doing and try a legitimate like New England style IPA. I'm not getting grapefruit with this at all.
Gabriel might have more trouble, John. Gabriel might have more trouble finding that in Arizona, though. See, I don't think the Asheville, North Carolina stuff gets national distribution. It could be wrong.
Now, tell us if there are other ones here, Gabriel. I know you're still watching. The only one that I know of that he's had in this style was that Sam Adams New England IPA.
The Sierra Nevada hazy little thing. I know he can get that one. I had that one. That's not super. It's not a great representation of the New England style IPAs compared to this one. But that one didn't have a super grapefruit forward taste. It's kind of like, you know, an AAL version of a New England style IPA, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Like they hit the points without getting too crazy with it. So try that one, Gabriel.
So
you can definitely get that.
The other question that I have now, John might not be able to speak on this a whole bunch, but I know Michael Komarov can. Now, for me, one of the real downsides to this whole New England style. I'm not even talking about the downside is, oh, it's so highly sought after and you can't get it and you got to stand in lines for hours. Yeah, that's a side effect of all of this crap, depending on because of the internet. I blame the internet and us type people for making this thing such a craze. But that's just number two on of my major problems. And the first one, and I want Michael to talk about that and why he sees this as just a part of New England style IPAs for the most part. But I want to talk about the price of these beers, because these things, you get 4-packs and you can spend well over $20 just for a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans of these New England style IPAs. And why do you think that is, Michael Komarov?
I think it's what you're saying. It's the craze. People are willing to spend that much money to buy it. So the craze fuels the demand. And a good example, you're talking before about who's your friend in England who's a brewer who has Other Half.
Harry.
So, okay, so Other Half is a good example. Their stuff now, 4-packs for $20. I mean, that's $5 for a 16-ounce beer. That's getting trendy prices. I mean, it's not always that. That's high. Can you imagine spending $5 for a 16-ounce? Yours at least was $3. That sounds reasonable in comparison. And you have to wait online for Other Half. It's not like, you can buy it in the store. Now, one plus now, if they don't sell out, and they don't always, if there's anything left, you can come into the brewery and buy it. But they usually sell out because people wait on these lines and whatever. And I don't bother. I've decided 6 Point's my guy. I'm not going to wait on, unless somebody wants to go with me. If somebody wants to go with me, the Other Half, keep me company, I'll go. Otherwise, I'm not going alone. I did it once alone, and I made friends on the line. It was okay. But it's more fun if you go with somebody so you can talk on the line until you get your beer. And they're still hot. So Other Half is still like a crazed thing, and they make good beer. I've had a lot of their beer too. And
so we got Gabriel Salaya in the chat just now naming off any IPA that's got grapefruit taste. So therefore, it's a New England style IPA. Not quite, Gabriel.
Gabriel, it has to be juicy and it has to be hazy. Most IPAs are not hazy and juicy.
He said Lagunitas IPA's got a grapefruit taste on draft and bottle.
Yeah, but it's not hazy IPA.
That's not New England. We're talking about New England style IPAs, right?
Right.
That's different, a lot different.
He's just naming a regular. Lagunitas is a great IPA, but that's just a regular IPA.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk about that price thing, and that is definitely all correct stuff. I think what Mike Cormack just said about it's hype and it's trend. And people just want it now, and therefore, if we put it out for limited releases, some of these beers, then people are just going to pay whatever price it is because they love the taste of it so much, and they want the taste of juice in their mouth immediately. But I look at it as it's amazing that you can add that mostly, except for Mike Komarov and some of these other kind of IPAs out there too. Mostly, none of these beers have adjuncts beyond hops, water, yeast, and malt. Reinheitsgebot beers, basically, and they're tasting like a fucking creamy orange creamsicle, for fuck's sake, without vanilla. But that is crazy. So it's just the style that it can be entirely as bitter as it wants to be, but generally speaking, and I heard I read something online about John Kimmich. He is the dude, the head brewer that founded The Alchemist, that made the Heady Topper. And his idea when making that double IPA, that hazy double IPA that almost looks like this pretty much, his thought process was, just like I said, he was going out to make a beer, an IPA, that could showcase other parts of the hops flavors than purely rip your head off bitterness. Now, it does have somewhat of a rip your head off bitterness. Michael Komarov and I, when I started taking over on Wednesday nights, that was one of the first things that both of us did. Somehow we had Heady Topper and I did. Holy crap. But that is not as good as Julius. But the other thing I wanted to mention about why do I think that these beer prices are high for New England style IPAs, perhaps the sourcing of some of these ingredients and some of these hops to produce them, to grow them, and to acquire some of these hops can be more expensive than if you were just to use hop extract, or if you were to use hops that are in abundance out there. I don't think. I think of a lot of these New England style breweries having things like Galaxy and Columbus and Citra. What's another one? Matueka, Amarillo. I started to notice this Idaho 7 recently that tastes just like you're
Six,
at a Grateful Dead concert, smelling
six,
the air, for God's sakes.
6 Point uses that in some of their stuff, and actually, haven't some of these companies now come out with IPAs that smell like the pot plant, and those they don't taste like it necessarily, but they smell like. Maybe it's that. Maybe that's the Idaho 7 hop that they're using for that.
I noticed Idaho 7 is quite a dank variety of hop. It's got that resinous garlic note to it, but I think probably some of these hops cost a little bit of money because maybe they're a little bit more difficult to cultivate. So
that could be it. Maybe that's the price increase, the fact that you have more expensive ingredients and you have to do it that way, and maybe that's what it is.
What they say, better ingredients, better beer. I don't know.
Papa John's.
That's it.
Oh, Papa John's. God dang it. That's right. Go to no, screw that noise. Go to the mall. Go get yourself a Julius. Go get yourself a Sabaros. You're gonna have a better time. So, anyways, that is the downside to New England style IPAs. So before we sign off here, I know Michael Cornrock's got a spin Friday night. Got to do things.
Well, I want to, after you do go off, I want to stay for a few minutes because I have a couple of things to discuss with John. But if you can wrap it up, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because we didn't really talk about it prior to tasting and reviewing our beers, but just give a little history at the end of this discussion, and then let us know where you're at with the style now. But yeah, so let us know a little bit about your history with New England style IPAs and maybe how you feel about them at the end of this discussion.
I think I've always liked them, and I will continue to try them. I'd rather not have to spend $5 for a 16-ounce beer, but I won't say I won't. But I would like at some point to try a Trillium beer. I still have not. I did try the green, which I like, the Treehouse. I've never tried a Julius either. But what I was going to say before about the other half, some of these people get on these lines to buy other half to trade for Trillium and Treehouse. So in other words, they'll buy the other half, and then they'll meet somewhere. They'll meet with their friends in Connecticut on midway between, and they trade. In other words, they'll trade off. The ones in New York give them the other half, and they take back whatever. But that only works if you really like the specific beers, I guess, that they make, and you trade the ones you like. And I think it's good. But I like the style. But I like straight IPAs too. So I mean doubles as well. So I mean I'm an IPA person.
And you feel the same at the end of the discussion after drinking your beer, or maybe perhaps the beer that you drank tonight is not the best representation.
Okay, I don't think it's the best representation, but I have had other 6.1s that were more straight New England IPA that I like better. So Smoothie was one. Hootie was there? There was a Hootie also. It was a Smoothie and a Hootie. So the guy, like I've said before, I give him credit. The guy who came from Trillium, he likes the style, so he's been pushing it. I'm sure he'll continue to push it. I have one coming.
Yeah, we know.
I was still in Italy. Somebody bought me a 6-pack of one, which I'll be interested in trying. That's made with champagne grapes. That should be interesting too. But I don't think that's going to be as dominant. We'll see. I don't think that's going to be as dominant as this one. This one was too white grapey to be a top-notch beer, but it's still, like I said, John, this is still more of a hybrid than it's a straight New England IPA. But if you looked at the color, it looks like a New England IPA.
Definitely, yeah.
Maybe the one with champagne grape yeast or grape must, they could call it a Hoppy New Year.
Well, that's good. I like that. My overall opinion is positive for the future of New England IPA. And John, you'll get to try more because some of the ones down there will start brewing some of them as well as time goes on.
Talked about he had done a mead before. We were on vacation drinking all the wines and stuff in New York and some of these IPAs and other beers. He was talking about, you know what? Maybe I should do another mead. Maybe I should do a mead for the holidays or Christmas or something. So I said, to your champagne yeast IPA, maybe call that Hoppy New Year. And for his mead, if he's going to do it in Christmas, I say to him, he should call it, you're a mead one, Mr. Grinch. You gotta get some of these beers again. With Julius, in a way, sorry about the glare. It's like some of these IPAs are using all these different puns to come up with their beer names. So the crazier the beer name, maybe it's just an interesting beer, and maybe it's gonna taste pretty good as a New England style IPA. But yeah, John and Nile, your final thoughts of said style. Now that you've probably had, I guess, Hazy Little Thing, you've had two in the style.
Yeah, this one is much better than Hazy Little Thing. I'm excited to try some more within this style. And like Gabriel said earlier, he was talking about the grapefruit. The New England style IPAs are less grapefruit, which I like. They're more tropical. You're getting more passion fruit, guava, pineapple, that type of thing. I like the fact that they're unfiltered and they're kind of thicker in the mouthfeel. So I understand the smoothie reference as well. But I haven't had enough experience with them. And I guess my final thoughts are, going into this, I didn't really know what to think. After this, I like the one that I had, this one here, the easy and juicy and hoppy and fresh from High Wire Brewing. And I'm looking forward to trying some more. And I'm a big sour beer drinker, so I get it, because sour beers are just as much of a craze as the New England style IPA. I like it. I love it. I want people to just drink all kinds of stuff and form their own opinions. And I think it's really great for the craft beer world. And I hope that it continues. And that's pretty much it for me.
I noticed that it's probably a trend thing. This New England style IPA has been a trend for so many years now. And as we know, over the course of this last year and even into 2017 to a certain degree, that sour beers have really been a craze. And the New England style, like your Tree Houses and Trilliums, I guess other half, and definitely 6 Point, we know, have been doing sour beers as well. And they go, I can't say they go toe to toe with their New England style flagships. However, they do a really good business within those breweries with their sour beers. And some of these IPAs have now become sour as well. I had one that was from, I forget what the name of it was. It came from Colorado, and it was a sour IPA, which was quite sour and not really IPA, but it's happening. And then you also find that sometimes these Tree Houses and Trilliums, and definitely 6 Point, as you know, Michael, make really excellent imperial stouts. So you'll get obviously good pale ales, IPAs, and double IPAs. You'll get really good sour beers, and I think you'll get really good stouts and porters from these companies. And it seems, in my opinion, and maybe a Pilsner here and there if they want to try to gateway into buying a $5 beer. But they generally do those three styles, these kind of New England companies, very, very well. Why the hell is New England, since I'm in New England here, why the hell is New England a home of a tropical juicy beer? I have no clue. We have snow on the ground for like 8 months out of the year. But yeah, these are easy to drink, smooth and crushable. Just watch out for some of the higher ABV, 8% plus, because not all the smoothness can translate into higher ABV beers. However, if you get this white wheat malt or a flaked oat in your beer, it will really make your beer creamy and smooth and velvety in the texture. And to me, living in New England and drinking all these beers, and maybe to Michael drinking a lot of these too, for me, no matter how hoppy the beer gets, which is still not a tremendously characteristic of a New England style IPA, if you can't get that mouthfeel right, it's hard to tell me that you're brewing or doing a really good job brewing that style of beer. So
that's true.
I will buy, these are styles of beers that I love as my favorite, but these are not, because of the price point alone, ones that you can buy on a regular basis. So for you to do a $13 or a $12.99 4-pack,
John, that's a great buy.
great price, John.
That's a very good price. So can Eric,
yeah.
can
I'm
we
to the style as I was when I started. And just to conclude on Julius, as I drink more of it, it gets more dank and resinous, and I'm getting more of this peppercorn, maybe spicy yeasty note, which is what you can get in a lot of these canned beers of New England origin, IPA. Yeah, I can definitely smell it. It smells more like the yeasty notes to it, and I'm getting more yeast towards the end of the glass. Excellent. Even more bitter than before.
Okay.
So, yeah, New England IPAs. Excellent. John, that sounded like a great beer. Michael
Great.
Koroff, keep
Great.
tasting great beer.
Great.
And we'll see you soon on when
Do
next.
you have something for next Wednesday yet, or you're still up in the air? Still,
I just say
you can stick wild card with it, and whatever happens.
Wild card again. Screw it. Who knows what one may bring? So,
all right, everybody.
keep tasting those great beers. Cheers. Have a good weekend. And if you're in the Northeast, watch out for a non-snow nor'easter.
Okay. Take care.